Natatakot po. Buo po yung mata, tabunan.
For centuries, this part of the Philippines coast has been a fabled source of gold. Driven by desperate poverty, thousands of small-scale miners all along this coast will do anything to find it, including risking the lives of their own children. Gold mining here occurs in remote jungle camps, deep in the mud. Most of it is illegal, and everywhere we turn, we find children at the heart of this business. Like 11-year-old Joshua, who works on the banks of the San Isidro Larup River.
Why? Hindi, dito ka tapatan ko ito, abutin mo ito ha, dito baba ka.
Joshua would prefer to be at school, but his dad has to pull him out of class regularly to work.
Namiss ko po ang kaibigan ko, tapos namiss ko rin po yung school.
Together, they search for gold in the earth and rocks below the water table.
Mga klase ko po. Balik po ba?
Joshua has missed so much school that he's now 2 years behind. Here it's common for children to leave school at a young age in order to work. But Joshua dreams of a better future than this.
Tapos gusto ko pong pumasa sa school. Tapos po akong magpag-aral.
Pero paglaki mo, gusto mo rin magtrabaho dito?
Hindi po.
By going to work, he's helping his father Larry support their family. It's a heavy burden for an 11-year-old and a situation his father regrets.
Malaking katulungan kasi si Joshua sa paghahanap buhay ko. Kasi pag hindi mo ka patulungan ng bata, kulang-kulang na pagkain namin. Yan ang kakuanang ko po.
Small-scale miners like Larry earn about 500 pesos a day, or $15. If they bring along their children to help, they can double that amount.
Pero pag may times naman na wala may sanin, bakante man siya, kasama ko, obligado pero may siya dito. At yan naman talagang katuwang ko din sa paghahanap buhay.
Joshua lives with his 5 brothers and sisters in this crowded shack, but it's home. A place to play and be a kid again.
Mabigat. Talagang mabigat. Walang magagawa at madaming anak.
In the Philippines, 80% of the population is Roman Catholic. Large families are common. And with many mouths to feed, it often falls to the older children to help support their siblings. Joshua is the second eldest, and he shares this responsibility with his teenage brother.
Malaking katulungan kasi yung bata eh. Sa mabigat na trabaho. May mga trabaho na iba na maganda, mapasok ako. Na iba naging magandang trabaho na hindi na makakasama ito. Diyos sa makapag-aral ng matino. Yun ang gusto kong kakuha.
Larry wants the best for his children, but he's in a tough situation. The vicious cycle of poverty forces him to endanger his family. A recent accident sent shockwaves through the mining community, and Larry himself had a narrow escape.
Biglang napuno ang naibas-hibas na tunnel sa kanila. Tapos pagkuhan, suminama ang tubig.
Larry was involved in an illegal practice called compressor mining, an extremely dangerous method of gold extraction where miners work underwater, breathing through thin tubes. He says someone used dynamite down a mine shaft, causing the deaths of more than 100 people.
Kuryente ang nagpatay sa kanila, kuryente ng ilaw. Doon ang nagkukuha sa kanila. Kita namin po na, kitang-kita ko sakto talaga bumubula, umalabas ang dugo sa bunganga. Bulot dito.
2013.
Oo. Talagang marami ang namatay talaga ng pumutok ang ang tubig.
It's a chilling story, but not enough to stop Larry gold mining, nor taking Joshua with him.
Diyos na lang po ang bahala sa akin. Kung sa palaran na lang po kasi kailangan ang sa financial talaga eh. Nakikipagsapalaran lang po ang hanap buhay ko doon. Kung anong mangyari sa akin, bahala na siya. Diyos na lang po sa kuwan.
In this area, there are 15,000 small-scale miners like Larry. Risk-taking is part of their everyday lives, and on the weekend they gamble on an age-old blood sport. Blades are attached, and the cocks fight to the death or until one is too injured to carry on. Here, locals gamble with their meagre earnings. For one of the winners, his gamble paid off. And what do you do for a job? What's your job? Trabajo?
Gold mining.
Gold mining. So, how much did you win today?
3,000.
Oh, good. 3,000. That's good, huh?
Philippine money.
Philippine money, 3,000 pesos. And how long would it take you to make that money from gold mining?
1 week.
1 week. That's about $85. With his winnings, he can avoid a few days digging in the mud. The losers have no choice but to return to work. As the crowd disperses, injured roosters are patched up, ready to fight another day. Throughout this region, entire villages rely on gold mining. It's known as the Gold Coast. Nelson Nadia has 6 children, including 2-week-old Nathaniel. Once Nelson was lucky enough to find one big haul worth about $1,000.
Yung pagkaswerte, yung makakuha ng medyo malaki-laking ginto, tapos mga 30 or 40,000 nga.
He runs a compressor mining operation, the same underwater method that nearly killed Larry. It's not used anywhere else in the world. And every day, his wife Christine worries if her husband will come home safely.
Siyempre, natakot po. Takot ako. Siyempre, ano po ba dyan? Mahirap na yung malalim po ang sisig. Tsaka ano po ay, marami po baga kaming anak. Siyempre, baka po kasi mahabar doon, mga maanuhan po baga sa ilalim. Minsan may mga nangyari po baga na nag-aano.
To reach Nelson's site, we travel upriver. We arrive at a makeshift rig made of bamboo and palm leaves and meet one of the young miners. Gerald is just a teenager, but every day that he goes to work, he risks drowning. Gerald takes a thin hose and clenches it in his teeth. This is his lifeline. He then lowers himself 30 feet below the surface to dig for gold in the dark.
Natatakot po. Tapos po yung para po sa pamilya. Magulang.
One kink in the tube or a blockage from mud and he won't be able to breathe. Children are often used as their lungs have not yet been damaged by the fumes that get sucked into the tubes. Although Nelson has been doing this for 2 years, even he finds it difficult.
Bubog sa ilalim, medyo nangangamba ka ng konti at malalim. Siyempre mga pressure, marami bagang naagay sa mga na-slide. Mga disgrasya. Kami naman, paniniguro, laging panigurado ang pagbubog, dandahan, laging sa pinaka-sinking, drive, dandahan din kami. Nakapa namin yung mga daanan. Hindi ba namin makikita at medyo blind nga. Lim. Pagdating na sa dulot, malayo na. Hanapin na namin yung maso, muwil, kapa din yun. Tapos yung mga lalagyan ng bato. Hindi na kami kamamaso sa ilalim. Marami nang nasakada.
Natatakot po. Maguho po yung butas, matabunan.
Because compressor mining is illegal, no one knows how many men or children have died doing this. But out here, there's no sign of enforcement. To increase their chances of finding gold, Nelson and Gerald stay deep underwater for long periods of time. Today they've been digging at the bottom for 3 hours.
Silid na silid sa lalagyan. Pag puno na, kaya atras yan, gaya kanina, papaakit na namin. Kaya ito, hindi na lubid. Yan sir.
The rocks they chiselled out of the cavern are then scoured for anything containing even the tiniest speck of gold.
Anything?
No,
No gold?
walang ginto. No more.
This time, the risk was for nothing. So Gerald must go back down the shaft to search again for gold.
How much do you get paid in one day, sir?
200 po.
200
200.
for one day? Okay.
Minsan po kinakapos. Minsan po kinakapos. Minsan po ayos lang. Wala pong pambili yung minsan ulam. Wala pong makain.
Local Mayor Ricarte Padilla insists that shutting down compressor mining would only force families further into poverty.
And who's responsible for trying to stop children being on these sites? Is that a national police issue?
It's a
Is that
national.
your
Well,
office?
it is our office, but of course, as I have said, we are doing the best we can. If I could only give them opportunities, job opportunities, I will take them away from, especially from compressor mining. It is just that, I have no alternative at this point.
Why is that? What would happen to them if you went up there tomorrow and stopped them doing compressor mining? What would happen to those people?
Well, of course, they will go back to you and ask, can you feed us? Can you sustain our families? Can you sustain our children who are going to the school every day? This is the only way we get our source of income. I mean, it's a situation where damn if you do and damn if you don't.
In the village of San Isidoro, I meet Mark Antony. He's carrying water home so his younger sister can cook. Children here have little time for playing. Mark Antony spends much of his time digging in the nearby soil pits, looking for tiny specks of gold. He works alongside his father, Marcos.
Para makatulong sa mga kapatid ko. Tapos sa kanila. Tumutulong ako kay Papa na sa isang linggo. Ay, 3 araw sa isang linggo.
Trabaho ka sa ibang lugar? Ano?
May trabaho po sa ibang lugar. Mahirap po kasi pag nagkakabid lang po ay.
Mark Antony is managing some school and wants to be a police officer when he grows up. He hopes he won't have to leave school permanently to work, a wish his father shares for the sake of his future and his safety.
Dapat naman hindi dapat isama ang bata talaga dito sa ganitong mga delikado. Yun lang ang malaking sakuna, matabunan ka. Kasi hindi ka naman bubuhay pag natabunan ka na. Tulad niyan.
Kasi sa pagkukuha ng gold, hukayin mo muna siya. Hukayin mo muna.
Together they fill their sacks with soil, then transport them to the mill. At the mill, they go through the soil, panning for specks of gold. Their eyes are trained to find gold fragments as tiny as grains of sand. Whatever they find must then be processed into one solid piece. And to do this, Marcos is taking a huge risk. He uses mercury to bind the specks of gold together.
Kasi yung gold, para dumikit siya doon, siyang hahanapin siya noon para magsama-sama siya. Kasi yung kwan siya, parang pangdikit sa gold, para makuha siya, magnet yung tawagin.
The use of mercury is banned. Unfortunately, Marcos is exposing his son and himself to a poisonous metal which can cause brain and organ damage, especially in children. He then burns off the mercury, creating a toxic vapour. It's the only way they can get it ready to be sold. The gold they produce comes at a high personal price, which is why it's being tagged as dirty gold.
Pag matapos yung proseso namin, yung paggagawa niya, doon namin maalaman kung kano ang kikitain namin. Kasi dito kaya sa gold, may prosesong yumaman ka. Marami nagyaman sa pagiging. Pero pag hindi ka kapapalarin talaga sa pagiginto, natural lang na ganito rin dati.
Today, Marcos sells to the local gold broker and mill owner, Adelia Adea.
The cost of this gold is 1,950. 1.5 grams. Almost per person, the owner of this gold.
4 persons.
4 person. Equivalent to, divided by into 4 person.
Marcos has to share the earnings with the other men at the dig site.
You're going to get 470 pesos. Is that enough? How long will that keep your family going?
Sa akin, kakasyanin na lang. Kasi, yun lang nakuha. Kakasyahin mo yun.
Marcos has made just $13, and for now he's putting on a brave front. Adelia says she would like to pay more, but claims the price she can pay is set by bigger brokers further up the buying chain.
Because the man who pick up the gold, it's so hard.
Yeah.
to get.
There's about a 50% markup between what the local gold miners are paid here and the international gold price. Now, it's unrealistic for them to expect to get all that money, but all the miners tell us that if they could get just a fraction of that profit, then they wouldn't have to have their children work with them.
Along the Philippines' so-called Gold Coast, small-scale miners are among the country's 25 million workers living in poverty. The local mayor knows the root of the problem lies in the distribution of wealth.
Our problem is very much anchored in poverty. But ironically, history will tell that Jose Panganiban can produce as much as 60 to 80 kilos of gold every month. But where does this wealth go? You will see gold going to the black market.
So when it goes to the black market, where does it then go?
Go to Hong Kong, go to China.
Really?
Yes.
Much of the gold produced here is sold on the black market to avoid taxes. And while the miners fail to get a fair price, they'll continue needing their children to work.
There seems to be a lot of children working on these sites.
While more and more people are getting poor because of the imbalance in the mining industry, more and more people, they're losing the capacity to send their children to school. We cannot put all the responsibilities and obligations to the government. It has to be between the parents and the government. You have to be prepared to give a solid future for your children.
But some parents have little choice. Even with his son's help, Marcos can still barely afford to feed his family of 5, let alone send them to school.
Kahit pa paano, hindi mapag-aral mo sila, makapagtapos. Kahit anong hirap na ranasin ko sa buhay. Hindi na kaya.
Tulong para mabuhay.
Parang kumita.
Para hindi siya mahirapan.